Okay, so it has been more than 17 months that Russia invaded Ukraine. Many want this war to end soon, but China wouldn't want that. In this video, we will learn why China would want a prolonged Russia-Ukraine war. What is China's hidden interest? We will look at this whole situation from Chinese perspective. Broadly speaking, the changes that have taken place due to the war have benefited China. We know that after invading Ukraine, strict economic sanctions were imposed on Russia. Due to it, Russia's dependence on China has increased a lot. Data tells us that Russia's trade with China has increased significantly since the start of the war. This is a tremendous business opportunity for China because Russia has limited options to trade due to sanctions. China was already Russia's largest trading partner, and Russia-China trade has increased by more than 30% since the war began. China is getting discounted oil from Russia, and Russia is importing stuff such as electronics from China. So China is benefiting a lot from cheap imports from Russia and increased exports to Russia. Now suppose that in a hypothetical scenario, if the war ends quickly and Russia suffers huge losses, then Russia will no longer be a threat to Western countries. If Russia is defeated, the Western countries will get Russia to make many compromises, as the weak are made to agree. So in this scenario, when Russia will become weak and will not be a big threat, then the West will shift its focus from Russia to China. It is well known that the West tries to maintain its dominance over the world by adopting one or the other gimmick. Presently, China is challenging this dominance. So the West will try to clip China's wings. For this, first of all, they will ensure that China doesn't capture Taiwan. We know that China considers Taiwan to be its part and is very sensitive about it. But if China has to consolidate its power, then it is necessary to capture Taiwan, as capturing Taiwan will give China a tremendous strategic advantage. There will be a land and economic gain, China's military reach will increase in the Pacific Ocean, and China will be able to control major shipping routes of Asia. Moreover, it will end the barrier between mainland China and islands in the Western Pacific Ocean. The West is very nervous about this. That is why the combined West will not shy away from starting a proxy war to prevent the reunification of Taiwan with China. The West is known for such tactics. As this goes against the strategic interests of China, China would see to it that Russia does not surrender before the West, and at the same time the war doesn't end. Because if Western powers manage to overpower Russia, their next target would be China. That is why China would continue helping Russia in every possible way so that the war doesn't end and China keeps on benefiting due to it, thereby keeping the West busy in containing Russia. In September 2022, Vladimir Putin met Xi Jinping in Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. The leaders were meeting for the first time since Russia invaded Ukraine. Russia praised China's balanced approach, and China said that it will strongly support Russia's core interests. However, these statements do not mean much. Every nation works for its interests. In reality, China would want Russia to be dependent on it and continue reaping the benefits of increased trade. In geopolitics, friends are not permanent, only interests are permanent. In another scenario, if the war ends quickly with a decisive Russian victory, China would not be happy about it either. The reason is influence in Central Asia. Traditionally, Russia considers Central Asia to be its sphere of influence. If Russia scores a decisive victory over Ukraine, its influence will increase in Central Asia region too. That is against China's strategic interests. For China, the ideal situation would be that Russia remains caught up in the war, that Russia gets totally cut off from the West and remains heavily dependent on China, that Russia and combined West keep fighting and weakening each other up to an extent that they no longer be able to counter China's rise. In a way, Ukraine turns into Afghanistan 2.0, where Russia and the combined West drain each other's resources. where poor security environment due to the war leads to industries and investments escaping and going to China, where due to war, Western industries lose their competitive edge over China, thereby making China unbeatable and gradually providing it the access from Central Asia up to the Far East. Hence, it is in the interest of China to prevent both scenarios, neither allowing Russia to score a decisive victory over Ukraine, nor letting it surrender quickly before the West. In the end, everything boils down to interests. The interest of establishing global dominance. When two fight, the third wins. China is that third. I hope you found that useful. Thank you for your time.